What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Kratos should die in God of War Ragnarok. Now, I thought this would be kind of a fun one. I was talking to a couple other people, and I love doing these videos. I'm going to continue doing them. If you guys want to see any video from me specifically, leave it in the comments, and I can definitely, take a look. I don't want to do too many. I don't want to take too many topics that I would also want to use right before the game comes out, so I'm trying to be a little cognitive of all that. This is not a will he die or how does he die. This is should. So it's very, very specific in its wording. But no, this is something that I was wondering if you guys were interested in. So I thought to do a video because I did the video a few days ago on, the biggest things that they can't mess up, right? A lot of people really like that video and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And one of the things I talked about was not messing up his death if it happens. We don't know for sure, but if you were to kill Kratos off, I would say even if you kill him off just to kind of bring him back like you did actually many times before, you have to do it right and what really is right, So for this, I thought, well, let's, and actually in the comments of that video, there were actually more split discussions than I thought there were going to be, with people agreeing, like, if you kill him off, you have to do it right, but also more people than I thought saying, maybe it's gone on too long, and, he just wants a peaceful death, or they want a peaceful death for him, so I thought, to kind of put that in a video. So I guess, here's the deal. I stand with all that. I guess I understand what people are saying with that. I would say maybe an unpopular, maybe maybe it is like the majority opinion. I don't want him gone yet. I don't want him to die permanently. Like I've said before, obviously the theories going around that really I only started to see a couple months ago, that the whole painting thing at the end of 2018, that's not like a surefire, 100% thing that Kratos dies. In fact, many people believe that 100% that's not Kratos, and that, it's not forecasting his death. And again, other people have gone in much better detail than me, but I was of the opinion up until, very, very recently that, this could be the last game, or if it was like part 2 and part 3, that part 3 would be his last game. And I was kind of thinking like, coming to terms with saying goodbye to somebody like that. But I think ultimately, no, I'm not. I would say, like, if they do it and they do it respectfully, and I don't even know what that is, that's actually a really tough thing. That maybe sounds like a cop-out thing, but, if they do it respectfully, I'm okay with it. I would say that, I was okay, and I still am. There's parts of me that go back and forth with saying goodbye to Nathan Drake. I know I keep going back to that, but Nate is my favorite game character of all time. Uncharted is my favorite franchise of all time. So at the end of 4, saying goodbye to him, there were almost tears. I mean, I love that character to death, Nolan North's portrayal. I love Uncharted to death. So saying goodbye, I mean, there are parts of me in the last 5 years, since the game came out, where it was like, I want him back. Like, I like a cameo, if it's his daughter in the next game, like maybe you could have him be in it briefly. There's a part of me, and I don't think I'd be against them doing that, but there's also, I think, the stronger part of me where it's like, you know what, they gave him the send-off. And that's, so, again, it's different than Kratos for sure, specifically because Kratos has been killed off before, but it'd be the same thing for Kratos. I think there's still more to tell from him. I think, obviously, 2018, not necessarily, I mean, I guess being in the middle, right? Being kind of a reboot-ish thing, but also being, literally a successor to God of War 3. I mean, you're in a whole new area. You have a son, you had a wife, like all this, it's just so, well, I guess it's somewhat similar, right? But it's so different from what we had just seen of him. You even have a different, actor playing him. And those are the things, again, playing through my head when it's like, oh, this could be the last game, or the third game could be the, again, like pre this trailer, me thinking, right? Where it's like, I don't know, like, you just got him. And I get we really didn't. Like, we've had him for an extraordinarily long time. But in reality, I guess in this version of him, this is like, we just got here. You know what I mean? It's actually part of the reason why I've said, like, I'm going to let it play out. Same thing as I said before, right? Like, if they think it's the better idea and, as long as it works and all that stuff, I'm okay with them leaving the Norse mythology after 2 games, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I wouldn't do it, but you know what? I'm not in charge of God of War, and that's probably for the best. You know what I mean? So, like, I understand it, but I'm also a little like, oh, I wish you would have stayed there like an extra game. It's kind of, I guess it's not exactly the same thing, but it's somewhat similar where it's like, I would understand if he dies, and again, like, should he die, if it pushes the story forward in the way they want it to go and it all works, if it really, if for some reason you can strengthen Atreus and you can strengthen their relationship almost in a weird, twisted way of him dying, whether it's Atreus who does it or maybe Freya or maybe Odin just comes in and cleans up, whatever happens, if it's for the best and they do it right, which again are very open-ended statements that, I mean, I don't even have blueprints for what I want, I guess he can, you know what I mean? But should he die? I really don't think so. I would say that. I don't think so. I think it's too early. Again, that's definitely subjective. That's just my opinion. But I think this version of him, we just haven't had enough. You also have the idea that, other people have said in the comments. I guess that is why there's the divide, though, right? Well, number one, he's been through so much. And there does come a point, and I do understand this, there does come a point where it's like you maybe have gotten the most out of this character you're ever going to get out of him, and so that would maybe be it. Honestly, I felt they did that very reasonably well at the end of 3. He's been through so much. He's told his story. God of War was a franchise that just did so many incredible things, and it's over. You killed Zeus, it's done. You can, Kratos dies, but then obviously they leave it open-ended, at the very end where it's like, oh shoot, he actually survived. So, but they had it for the most part. And again, I understand that. I would understand if that's their excuse, and I know that maybe comes across the wrong way, but literally, if their excuse for killing him off would be, look, he's been around for 20 years. Like, we got a lot of story out of him. We reinvented him here, and he got to do what we want him to do, and now we think it's time to pass it to Atreus. I understand that. I actually see that, and that's kind of difficult to argue against. I would just kind of, again, the way I see it is I still think all that stuff's valid, but because you have, in a lot of ways, reinvented his character very recently in 2018, maybe you get, I guess I'm kind of like petitioning, well, give him one more. Give him a third game and then end it. But again, even the way they're going, so they're leaving Norse mythology to go somewhere else, most likely, Egyptian, right? And they have all of these kind of signs there. But, is Atreus going to be that lead for these future games for it? Or Kratos? And you also, the final thing I'll say, I don't know how much this affects it because Sony, specifically with these studios, it is a good sense about money. How much do they care about money and star power or icons? And the thing that I mean by that is how much is Kratos worth to them? You know what I mean? Even with what I say with Uncharted, what's odd is all of the rumors in fact, remember, there was a new Uncharted game being worked on by the team who made Days Gone. That is a pretty solidified rumor that pretty well could have happened. But the game would have either been a Uncharted 1 remake or a prequel, which probably still would have starred Nathan Drake. So what's the theme? It seems like they don't want to let Nathan Drake go. Now, is that the team that made Days Gone? Is that their decision? Or is that PlayStation's decision, like Sony, where they're like, you know what? He's too valuable. And so again, I don't know how much that goes in. I don't know how much these icons mean. They clearly do mean something because when you have a Sly Cooper that could be brought back or Infamous is still around, obviously there's money and value in properties and characters. You know what I mean? And some of them are just very hard to let go, even if, the Master Chief probably should have ended a long time ago, but, it still works and it still makes the money, so why would you stop, right? But there's that risk reward, and again, that's why I get it. I think the person who wants to preserve the art and say the art stands on its own, you have a good amount of ground to stand on by saying, we got a lot out of him, we really think we'd be milking it if we went any further, and so we're going to end it here with Kratos. On the other side, you say, well, we did just reinvent him, so he's kind of new. We could give him a couple more games. It could work with him and Atreus. We don't have to just do one or the other. And he's Kratos. Would a God of War game sell without Kratos? Actually, could it even be called God of... I guess it probably would be, or maybe they would change a God of blank, right? But, would that work? Would it actually work without Kratos? That's... When you have a game that's only ever had one main, the lead character of every single game has been the exact same for 8 or so games in Kratos, right? Does it work without him? I don't know the answer. Do you guys know that's something that I wonder how much they struggle with. And everybody kind of struggles with it. That's what makes it interesting. So I would say, no, please don't kill him. If you do, as long as there's a good reason for it, I guess I will let it slide, me being like a substitute teacher kind of thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. As I said, I'll continue to make these videos. If you guys want to see something specific, let me know. We're not going to go forever with this, and I don't want to take all the topics of, when the game comes out, but this will be a long haul. We'll be covering God of War Ragnarok right up until its release, and then even right after it, okay? If you guys want to follow us on Twitter or subscribe to our second channel or support us through Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. The join button, obviously, is next to the subscribe button. That's the YouTube memberships. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.